This is the kind of stuff I did when I was 10 years old, and I wrote book reports for my teachers because I didn't like them. Hi, she says nothing else. You see the Screen Rant article that said Fallout 1 and 2 are the first Fallout games because they were different from the modern games ranked 76 above 1 and 2? Is that real? I have not seen that. Is that real? Or are you just making fun of me? I can't see a professional game writer these days saying something so completely
retarded.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think it's about logic, Rick. I think the word has just become a symbolic issue for powerful groups that feel like they're doing the right thing.
Well, that's retarded.
Normally they're very, you know, they're like these old games are older and difficult to play, but are at least worth a visit, you know, something like that. You know, they're normally they're tactical, not tactical, not the right word, but they're not normally they're not just complete douchebags about it. Is that really what he said? My God, are you serious? Who is this a-hole?
Don't click on that.
Fallout 1 and 2 are the worst games as are very different from the modern games.
My response is wub wub.
Who is this a real person? Is this an actual person? Like, what is this? Fallout has produced all memorable titles over the years, and here they all ranked from worst to best. Fallout 1 and 2 are the worst Fallout games as they are very different from the modern games. Fallout 76 is next because of its lackluster story and awkward online functionality. Oh, man. New Vegas is third and is a great title for those who are invested in the series. Fallout 3 is the best game to start with because of its rich lore and story. Got a lot of lore though, but not really so much story. Fallout 4 is the most polished titles overall and does a lot right compared to the other titles. And this is your top Fallout 4? This is like a meme or a troll. What is this? There's nobody's name attached to it either. I think this is like a troll. Click back and read full article. Go back and read full article. All right, here we go. Zachary Fairfax, published 3 days ago. Okay, Screen Rant, you need to fire Zachary Fairfax. Fallout has come a long way since The Wasteland was first debuted in 1998, and here is every mainland Fallout game ranked from worst to best. Fallout series has undergone an immense transformation since it was first released, and opinions on which Fallout game is the best vary greatly among fans of the franchise. While each title takes place in a post-nuclear wasteland, gameplay and environments are very different from game to game. No, they're very different from Fallout 1 and 2 and the couple of others that came around that time, Tactics, Brotherhood of Steel, and stuff like that, and Fallout 3, 4, and New Vegas, which are all the same. Anyway, not from game to game. There's a huge break between Interplay and Bethesda. But anyway, this makes every Fallout game feel like a unique experience instead of the same depressing struggle to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. Well, I'm glad you look at it that way. That's cool. All right.
We're going to play classic Fallout.
The first Fallout game was released for PC in 1997 and introduced late 90s gamers to the iconic world Fallout is set in. The second title was released a year later in 1998 and is the only Fallout game to be a direct sequel to another. However, when Fallout 3 was released in 2008, that links to another Screen Rant article. You don't have Screen Rant articles for Fallout 1 and 2? Seriously? Bethesda took the series into the third dimension and allowed players to explore a massive open world. Fallout New Vegas 2010 and Fallout 4 2015 innovated with weapon modifications and base building, but still took place in Bethesda's iconic hyper-interactive environments. The latest installment in the series, Fallout 76, took Fallout Online, turning the Wasteland into a massive multiplayer online game.
You're welcome, people.
While they share similar formulas, not all of Fallout games are the same. Each one follows a unique storyline, offers interesting companions, and provides hours of some of the best side quests video games have to offer. The amount of content packed into each game gives them a level of replayability that is hard to find elsewhere. Here's every Fallout game ranked from worst to best. The worst Fallout games, Fallout 1 and 2. There is reasons, because if it's that we just saw. At launch, Fallout 1 and 2 were great PC games, but they haven't stood the test of time. When discussing the best Fallout games, it's easy to ignore the first two titles. Oh, fuck you. And many players will understandably leave them out due to their radical differences compared to modern Fallouts. Fallout 1 and 2 are turn-based point-and-click adventure CRPGs, and their gameplay and visuals are very outdated. Their visuals, I will grant, are a bit outdated. The visuals are. Their gameplay, however, that is bullshit.
You know, things are too hardcore back then.
Set in a post-apocalyptic Southern California, players take control of a vault dweller, and the history of the nuclear fallout is laid out for the players. Unless players have an undying need for Fallout lore, the first two games are easily skippable. Their slow pacing and lackluster gameplay make them mostly unenjoyable to play for those who are used to modern day gaming. Skipping these titles doesn't take anything away from the rest of the series. It's important to be thankful for these two games that laid the groundwork for what was to come, but that doesn't mean players have to suffer through the painful amount of time it takes for every citizen of a city to walk 5 steps before it's their turn again. Okay. I will grant that the speed settings need to be tweaked a little bit. However, you can tweak them.
Running. Always.
This person did not play past Fallout 1. This person played part of Fallout 1 and stopped playing. This person is not doing a review of Fallout. He is doing a review of the old engine that has been properly modded since that time. And it actually doesn't play that slowly either.
You couldn't even alt-tab out of stuff when we made this.
Can we get a hashtag fire this guy going? This guy does not need to be working. Zachary Fairfax, you do not need to be working at Screenrant if you're not going to play the games. And I guarantee you have not played the games and you don't care about a game where you have to read in order to play it. That's your problem. Because you have to read here. How's it outdated? That's like saying Disco Elysium is outdated. I don't know what Disco Elysium is. No, what he's talking about is the game engine itself. The game isn't just old. It has an old game engine, and you probably want to install the fixed mod in order to update it far enough to be able to play it. You can also, and in the fixed mod, you can also tweak the speed up. However, this person clearly did not play Fallout 2, clearly did not watch my video about how to adjust the speed settings in Fallout 2 so you can account for the slowness of the game, because yes, combat is slow in the game, and so is movement.
Running. Always.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this up and I'm gonna throw this on YouTube as soon as I'm done reading this article. So we're gonna read the rest of this. I completely disagree with this person. It is 100% clear to me, in my opinion, I'll admit, but it's 100% clear to me that this person has not played Fallout 1 or 2, has no clue what they're talking about when it comes to those two games, and has not bothered to install any of the mods necessary to actually make them into a faster-paced game, which are easily accessible and easily available and really not difficult to install if you bother to do them. And if you bother to do them and you're confused about how to actually adjust the settings, I have videos on how to adjust the settings for Fallout 1 and 2 so that you can play them. Please search my channel. Take a look, or I will link them below in the description. All right. The online-only Fallout 76 isn't a bad game.
Who's been playing this?
But it's missing a lot of what makes the offline titles so enjoyable. Fallout 76 is an attempt to turn the Fallout series into an MMO. But encountering other players in the wild feels awkwardly like passing by a stranger on the sidewalk, except the stranger is carrying a rocket launcher and may or may not challenge the player to a duel. What's the difference between that and any other MMO? Like, that's what they're all like.
I think this is violating all of our style guide rules.
The storyline and setting are the most disappointing aspects of Fallout 76, as they don't feel as compelling as other titles in the franchise. Sure, I can see that. The game's story doesn't make players want to complete it, and the world isn't very interesting. No clue, I actually haven't played it.
This game doesn't crash, ever. Some solid code in this game.
However, Fallout 76 receives major updates periodically that make considerable changes to the game. Bethesda has since added human NPCs, additional locations, and even more quests that help expand the world and make it feel more like a traditional Fallout experience. Okay, that being said, Fallout 76 still doesn't quite scratch the same itch as other Fallout titles, and it acts as more of a placeholder between Fallout 4 and the inevitable Fallout 5. Fallout New Vegas.
I liked 3, I liked 4, I love New Vegas.
Fallout New Vegas is hailed as one of the inevitable Fallout 5. Hailed as one of the greatest Fallout games, and rightfully so. Set in the wasteland of post-nuclear Las Vegas, Fallout New Vegas switches things up by not making its main character a vault dweller. Now, you'll notice he has descriptions of all the stuff in 76 and even some of the changes, and he's now going to have descriptions of what's in New Vegas, and he's going to have a description of what's in Fallout 3, I'm sure, and then probably a full description of what's in Fallout 4, because I'm sure that's his favorite. But he has no description of what is in Fallout 1 and 2.
You know, things are too hardcore back then.
This person did not play these games. This person has no clue what he's talking about and wrote a 30-second book report on a couple games he played when he was a teenager and published it on screenrant.com.
Remember, I for one intelligence.
I could write this garbage, and I should get paid for it. Anyway, Fallout New Vegas is hailed as one of the greatest Fallout games, and rightfully so. Set in the wasteland of post-nuclear Las Vegas, Fallout New Vegas switches things up by not making its main character a vault dweller. Instead, players are a courier who is seeking revenge against the man who attempted to murder them. The wasteland is dangerous, desolate, and unforgiving, but humanity clings to life in distinctive cities and outposts. Fallout New Vegas has a fantastic storyline and explores what life is like for those who never had a life inside a vault. Yes, Fallout New Vegas certainly does have a fantastic storyline. Not the best, I would argue, because if you knew how to read a book, you would also know how to read the text in the Fallout game. And if you bothered to read the text in the Fallout game, Fallout 1 in particular, you would realize that that is actually a far superior story. But whatever. It's not a big deal. It's not far superior. It's still, I consider it superior than New Vegas' story. However, Fallout New Vegas' story is still pretty good. Still pretty damn good. New Vegas also introduces weapon modifications to the series, which make small changes to how a weapon functions, but they aren't as easily accessible as they are in later games. Okay, so you like the modification system. All right, Fallout New Vegas is a good game to play for those who have invested time into other Fallout titles first, particularly Fallout 1 and 2, as it doesn't do the greatest job of explaining the history of the war. No, because you're supposed to play Fallout 1 and 2 to understand what's going on with Fallout New Vegas. Not 3 and not 4. It's a sequel to Fallout 1 and 2 because it's made by the same people.
Wow,
What the
that's subtle.
hell?
There are also various concepts New Vegas explores that are better explained if players were to play other titles first. Regardless, Fallout New Vegas is a great installment in the Fallout series and offers a unique take on dystopian Las Vegas. Sure, absolutely. I will agree with that. Fallout 3. Fallout 3 is the first 3D Fallout that took the series into Bethesda's style of open worlds, and it is one of the best places to start for new players who are trying to get into the series.
Remember, I have a 1 intelligence.
Oh, that's right.
My response is wub wub.
If you're like 10, or if you're a dad and you're trying to introduce your 10-year-old son or daughter to role-playing, sure. Yeah. Maybe. I can see that. For a new player. But if you're like, if you want to introduce them to, if you want to get them into it and you just, and you want to keep it in the modern era, I think Fallout New Vegas is superior. And you should probably introduce them to that first. If you don't want to take the time and show them how to play Fallout 1 and 2. Not being volatile isn't new to Fallout 2, and Tactics did it before New Vegas did it. True. Fallout 3's storyline is one of the most exciting and most compelling, is it gives a glimpse of what it's like to grow up in a vault. What? That's the worst part of the game!
Who's been playing this?
All right. When the player's father unexpectedly leaves, the main character must track him down in post-apocalyptic Washington, D.C. All of Fallout's core mechanics, functions, and important historical are introduces, typo there, throughout the game's storyline, and the players are set loose in the series' first desolate world. Did you even have an editor go through and read this? You should have thrown it away.
I think this is violating all of our style guide rules.
That doesn't mean that Fallout 3 is perfect. In fact, its outdated graphics and poor FPS mechanics might make it hard to play when compared to modern day gaming. However, its faults are overshadowed by its world, lore, and storyline. For players who are just getting into the series, Fallout 3 is the quickest way to be brought up to speed. Wait, did you even play this game? He doesn't talk about anything later into it. He talks about the first level. He mentions a glimpse of what it's like to grow up in the vault. That's all he mentions. And then it's like, that's it? Did you play any more past the part where you get out the vault? I bet he stopped there. I don't even think this place has played Fallout 3.
You can see natural light for the first
This
time
is
in
the
your
exciting
life.
walking to
You're looking at the outside
the
world.
exit grid.
I'm gonna lose many brain cells while listening to more of this. Don't worry too much, dude. God. Okay, let's do Fallout 4 now. Fallout 4 is by far the most polished game in the series.
I like Fallout 4. People always ask me, what do you think Bethesda does? I like 3, I liked 4, I love New Vegas.
Okay. And it does a lot of things right that other Fallout games struggle with. Its storyline is more compelling than Fallout 3. It fixes its combat to make the game feel more like an FPS. True, to the detriment of the game, but true. Which stops players from relying too heavily on VATs. Okay. It makes mods easily accessible, and actually, if you do choose to rely heavily on VATs, you can make a VATs-based build, which is very deadly and incredibly destructive. And if you are not relying on VATs simply because you want an easy way to play the game and you don't want to take the time to understand how the role-playing mechanics work in the game, which means you are not an RPG player, which means you should not be reviewing RPGs, you can. Yes, you can do that.
He leveled up.
But you are missing 90% of the game if you do that. Anyway, it makes mods easily accessible and even allows console players to mod the game. Oh, that's kind of cool. I wasn't aware that it did that. And it does certainly make mods easily accessible. Cool. Are you? No, I don't think it allows console players to mod the game. It allows console players to download officially released mods from Bethesda, which is not the same thing because PC players can actually mod the game. Console players can only download what's officially pre-approved. I don't think it got past the birthday party. He does mention that your dad leaves the vault and you got to chase him. So he kind of, I guess he got that far would be my guess, but that's about it. Its weapon modification system is more versatile. It certainly is. And players can even customize the power armor they find around the map. That's true. That's one of the best parts of Fallout 4. One of the best parts of Fallout 4 is its base building, not in the default game. It can be a bit wonky to start, and you did not play, and you didn't actually put any mods down, did you? Fallout 4 gives players a reason to build bases outside of a personal place to store all their items. The bases players build are settlements that can attract other people throughout the wasteland. On top of hundreds of hours of exploration and side quests, players play a vital role in rebuilding civilization. The major locations of Fallout 4 are the best in the series to date and introduces concepts independent of other titles that make it a great place to start for players who haven't played other Fallout titles. Yeah, I'm sure. But they wouldn't want to play other Fallout titles once they finish this. Why would they? This appears to be his favorite. Fallout 4 appears to be his favorite. And I'm not even sure he's actually played Fallout 4. Because he doesn't describe any of it except a couple of the combat systems. Well, I guess he's probably played Fallout 4 once, given what he's written here. This is a bare bones book report. This is the kind of stuff I did when I was in 10th grade. I wrote a BS book report because I didn't care. One more time, Screen Rant. Yeah, I know it's Screen Rant, but Zachary Fairfax, who is this person? In Screen Rant, are you paying this person, Screen Rant? Stop paying them. This is the kind of stuff I did when I was 10 years old, and I wrote shitty book reports for my shitty teachers because I didn't like them.
What the hell were these guys thinking?
I don't know. Things are too hardcore back then.
This person does not care about you, Screen Rant. They don't care about their job. If this is what they're writing, they aren't playing the games. They aren't writing anything worth contributing to. And maybe they're trying to start a troll fest. I'm not really sure. I mean, that if that's what your goal is, cool. But if your goal is to have articles written by competent people who know how to write and who aren't going to blow off the assignment that they clearly gave you, this is not the person. This is not the person. This person is not doing any sort of in-depth review. This person gave you a 1,300 word essay. Okay, it's not the shortest thing I've ever seen, but still, this is terrible. This person clearly is not a role-playing game player. They don't need to be writing about role-playing games, and you don't need to be paying them to write about role-playing games. It's simple as that.
The rope lobby gave us some serious kickbacks.
Does this have any criteria for their rankings? I don't know, dude. He claims he played. If you saw the first part, he claims he played Fallout 2. He claims he played Fallout 1 and 2 for a minute. But then he calls them the worst Fallout games. Easy to ignore the first two titles, and many players will understandably leave them out due to the radical differences compared to modern Fallouts. Ugh. Only for people who play first-person shooters and not role-playing games. If you want a role-playing game, Fallout 1 and 2 are superior in many, many ways. Turn-based, point-and-click adventure CRPGs and their gameplay and visuals are very outdated. It's like he watched something on YouTube. Set in post-apocalyptic Southern California, the players take control of a Fallout trailer, and the history of the nuclear fallout is laid out for the players. And that's it. That's all he says. Unless they have an undying need for lore, the first two games are skippable. And it's pretty clear that you skip them, because you're not actually reviewing them. You're not actually giving any details about what's going on with them, nor about your experience with them. You're just saying they're skippable.
Remember, I for one intelligence. Wub wub.
The only detail he gives about his experience with it is that players have to suffer through the painful amount of time it takes for every citizen of a city to walk 5 steps before it's their turn again, which is the combat system. And that's all you're talking about, and you didn't even bother to adjust the combat settings so that it's actually at a reasonable speed. It's really easy to do.
Running. Always.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen on YouTube, if you're watching this, please take a look at my combat speed video, at my combat settings video. Open game preferences and change the combat speed from normal to fastest. Have it affect the player's speed, because those settings are in there. And if there's something more confusing about it, drop a comment and let me know. I should make a video about it, and I will. This person did not play Fallout 1 and 2. Anyway, they're bad because they're old. Yeah, exactly. They're bad because they're old, and you didn't bother to actually change any of the settings to make them so that they're playable, and you didn't even bother to play them. He didn't even bother to play them. He clearly played Fallout 76, I think, and he probably played Fallout 4, though he doesn't actually talk about it very much. I don't even think he played New Vegas very much. He may have, he may not have. And I don't think he played past the first part of Fallout 3. I don't believe him. If he claims that, I don't believe him.
You're trying to right-click on that to use it, aren't you?
I am. We just don't drag it into the body, do we? How did I use it again? I thought you right-clicked it.
I thought so too.
I don't have to wield it, do I? That would be hideous.
You have to use the inventory item on yourself. I'm sorry. I don't know why this amuses me so much.
What? So
like I think you right-click on yourself. No,
Oh.
get out. No, get out. Or
Oh, that's right. That
Yeah,
was our
right.
handy dandy like self. No, because all I
Yeah.
can do is look at myself.
no, if you right-click on yourself, you can only look at yourself.
Yep. See
You don't get the thing.
that big triangle that got removed.
No, not the big triangle. You get a list. Sometimes when you click on things, you get a list.
I'm just looking at me. All I can do is look at me, and I don't see anything out of
They're
the
saying
ordinary.
you probably need to drag it to your item slot.
Let's try that. Who made this game? I'll put it on where my guns are. Yep, use on. Ah. Wait, I only put one in there. I know there's a way to use it from inventory because we used to say.
Well, right-click on your. Try right-clicking on your character in here. Does it do anything? No.
Nope.
Yeah, there's got to be a way.
Oh, maybe you can do this. Nope. Maybe we can do this. Nope. Maybe we can do this. Nope.
Wait, what did you just do? How'd
Try
you
to
get that?
drag it,
Oh.
but nope. I know there was a way to do it because we used to go in and use multiple stim packs at once.
Hold right-click on it.
All it does is go blinky blinky. Maybe hold. Nope. Okay, I think that's probably enough. I think we're well healed. Let me save again.